This video is brought to you by YTAndrewPaul Tech Repairs. If you have a console, laptop, computer or Macbook in need of repair in the UK or the EU, then have a look in the description below this video for details on how to contact us in order to organise your repair. Hello there ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's video. And today we're going to be going over this Nintendo Switch. Now, this is probably going to be a fairly short video, I think. I was intending this to be a little bit longer, but it would appear that I've already fixed it. So that's kind of put the kibosh on today for me, which means you may get a bonus video at some point in the week, something with a bit more meat and bones to it, but there is still a very valid lesson in this particular Nintendo Switch that somebody unfortunately didn't learn, but he's going to learn the hard way, because in the end this is actually going to prove quite expensive for them, and I'll tell you why. So this is a standard Nintendo Switch console. It was sent here with no power, and from what I can gather they've done quite a bit of work on it, trying to get power to it. They've done the various bits and pieces that you would expect them to try. They've checked it for shorts, they've replaced M92, they've replaced the charging ICs, they've done all sorts of stuff. They've damaged one or two bits on the motherboard, or somebody has, trying to, do this work. And then basically I got an email asking if I could take a look at it. They got a donor board, which I think was fairly expensive, and it did power. It does actually turn on, to sort of try and repair this one. There's a method to how you approach these things, and the first thing you should always do with a Switch is hook it up to one of these. Now this is my USB voltmeter, so it's a voltmeter, an ammeter and everything else in there, and basically what this does is it plugs into a USB charger on this end, and then a charge cable goes in the bottom, and then it basically tells you what voltage it's asking for, what amps it's drawing, and some other bits and pieces. And it's really quite useful, and something like this is invaluable for working on these switches. If you buy switches on eBay, if you are repairing them as a service, then trust me, you're going to need one of these, because quite often you can actually work out what the issue is, or at least get a good clue what the issue is, before you even open it up, just by taking the readings off this. Seriously, and that is what sort of led me to twig this more or less straight away. And if whoever sent this down here would have had access to one of these voltmeters, they may not have ever had to have opened the machine themselves. They would have been able to fix it without even opening it. Yeah, and like I said, the time saved, the chips they've replaced that they needn't have replaced, the connectors that were a little bit dog-eared, I think I've managed to salvage them. I still need to test the Joy-Cons, but the LCD connector had drop pins in it. I've managed to straighten those out. But yeah, a lot of time, effort and collateral could have been avoided just by having access to one of these. And the thing is, with this was less than 15 quid off Amazon. And for those of you who want one, the link, and it is one of my affiliated links, so if you do click and purchase through that link, I will get a couple of pence, which will go towards the channel. So if you want to support the channel, then just click the link and buy one of these through there. But if you don't have one of these and you're messing around with Nintendo Switches on any kind of basis whatsoever, grab one, because often with these Switches, what appears dead isn't actually ever dead whatsoever. So I'll show you now what's going on with it. So basically this is now working, so I'm going to plug this. In fact, let's see if we can't get this in shot for you. So I'm just going to set this USB ammeter up. Okay, alright, there we go. So that's now plugged into my charger, and I'm going to plug the switch in. Okay, and we can see 15 volts, half an amp. It reboots to 0, and then once it comes back up, it's pulling around an amp. And there we go. And that's what would normally happen with a fully working switch. You would get the 15 volts, and then it'll pull around half an amp for a second or so, it'll die, it'll go to 0, and then it'll come back up. And then once it comes back up, it'll pull anywhere from about an amp to an amp and a half, depending on the state of the battery. Now, this particular machine, as we can see now, is working absolutely fine. It boots, it's into the dashboard, and it seems to work perfectly fine. So, like I said, the Joy-Cons need testing, which I'll do in a bit, because one of the Joy-Con connectors is a bit dog-eared, but I think I've managed to salvage it. But this is now working. But what it was doing, as soon as I plugged this in, and this is what I'm saying to you, the first thing you should do is get one of these and plug it in. So the first thing that this thing was doing when I plugged it in was it was at 15 volts, but the current draw here was at 0.47 amps, and it was stuck solid. So 0.47 amps, it's charging, so it's doing what it should do. So I'm expecting it to then boot, so I'm expecting it to drop and then power up. But it didn't do that, it just sat at 0.47 amps. Black screen, 0.47 amps, but it was pulling 15 volts. So it's doing what it should do, but it's waiting. And that sort of set the Spidey sensors off. So what I then did was, because like I said, I knew there was internal damage on here because I'd been told, so I took the back off and had a look. And like I said, the damage itself wasn't too bad, to be fair. So I measured the voltage from the battery, and it was down at 3.2 volts. So it was flat as a pancake. And then that's when the Spidey sensors tingle in the back of your head and you go, I know what's wrong with this. And sure enough, I plugged it into my laptop, fired up Tegra RCM GUI, and the thing responded. The thing is in RCM mode. And for anybody who doesn't know what RCM mode is, effectively that's where somebody hacks the switch. So you can put like you can hit a fire payload at it and put a custom OS on there. So something like Atmosphere or SXOS and all that sort of stuff. So somebody's basically tried to hack this, and then they haven't put a payload against it, so it's just sitting on a black screen. It will sit there until it drains the battery completely, and that's exactly what happened. And then of course, as soon as you connect the charger, well, it's in RCM mode, so it's just going to stay black and it's not going to do anything. Now, without this, I mean, you could just plug it straight into your laptop, fire up Tegra RCM GUI, and see if it responds. If you haven't got one of these, and the first thing to do is try that. If you've got one off eBay that won't boot, and you haven't got one of these, and you can't be bothered spending 15 quid on one, just plug it into the laptop first and see if Tegra RCM detects it in RCM mode, because if it does, it's possibly the cheapest fix you've had all day. So, there is a lesson in this for you. So, like I said, the other place has changed chips. They've done a little bit of collateral damage, which in the end wasn't too bad, but, it needn't have been done in the first place, is my point. All that time and effort, the chips cost a couple of quid a piece. The M92s are about a fiver. The charge chips are 2 or 3 quid. It all adds up. And if you don't fix it, if you work on a no fix no fee, guess what? You're not getting paid for it. So it's a bit of a kick in the teeth. And then, like I said, the other place have got a donor board just in case to fix this one. I don't know why this particular one needs fixing, but it does. And some people insist, no, it has to be this one, and they've gone out and they've spent good money on a donor that they needn't have spent because the thing was in RCM mode, and all that was easily spotted just by hooking it up to this. And then obviously that gives us a clue exactly what's wrong with it. We plug it into the laptop and it fires up. So like I said, that's when I plugged it in. It went to RCM, and then I fired the Hikate payload at it, and the screen stayed black. And then, like I said, I knew then, I could see the backlight was on, but then I knew it must have been in and out a couple of times, because like I said, I can see all these bits and pieces have been replaced and worked on. So at that point, the LCD connector in these things is flaky at the best of times, and sure enough, once I slid the cable out, 2 drop pins, luckily they hadn't bent, they just dropped out of the comb at the top, so with a sewing needle I managed to just push them back up into position and lock them back in. And, hey presto, this is all working very nicely again. Hopefully those Joy-Con rails are going to work, which I'll test, like I said, later on. And then, if it does, it's good to go back. But all this could have been avoided just by a little bit of basic troubleshooting. And like I said, this thing here, 15 quid, if it saves you one of these, if you think what it's cost in time, chips, sending it down here, buying donors, you think about what that has actually cost, and ultimately what it's going to cost, because ultimately it's my time as well, so I'm going to have to charge for this. all because it was a machine that somebody had stuck in RCM and nobody had picked up on it along the way. And as I say, if you are messing around with switches from eBay or switches that are sent it, because it's weird the number of times somebody will do something to it and think they've broken it, but rather than sort of owning up to the issue and going, yeah, alright, yeah, I did sort of try to hack it, and now it's gone to a black screen, I don't know what I've done. A lot of the time people will just sort of play dumb about it, and they'll go, it's just gone black, I don't know, there's no power to it. Rather than sort of just telling you, I don't know why people do that. I don't care what you do with it, it's your bit of kit. You know, if you want to hack it and put a custom OS on there, then more power to you. I don't mind. You know, I'm not the police. I don't particularly, you know, that's fine. It's your property. You do what you want with it. In fact, if you told me, and the same with everybody else, you know, if whoever this belongs to had gone to the place that sent this down to me and told them, hey, you know, it does have AutoRCM enabled on there, then maybe they too could have just got this working very, very quickly and easily. I don't know, but yeah, there you go. That's a strange one for you. So, you know, if you are a business and you do deal with these, if somebody comes to you with one of these, just ask them first off, does it have RCM? Does it have an atmosphere or something like that, or a customized OS on it? Have you hacked it? And just ask the question and see what they say. Some people will still deny it. But, you know, what can you do? So anyway, if this is you, what I will do is I will show you how you can sort of get back from this if you indeed do find your switches in RCM. Okay, so if you're like me and you suspect you've got a switch that's in AutoRCM, you're going to want to get hold of this little tool here. It's called RCM GUI. The version I've got here is 2.6. Now obviously depending on when you watch this, there may be a later version out, but essentially I'll try and put some links in the description for you where you can find all this stuff. So RCM GUI, install it, and then if you go onto the settings section, and then there's an option there to install driver. Install the driver, reboot your machine, and then what you can do is get the switch and plug it in via your USB cable to the laptop. What should happen then is, under this payload tab, if indeed it is a device that's in RCM mode, this no RCM red screen here will go to a green screen, and it'll say something like RCM OK. If you see that, indeed you've got a switch that's in AutoRCM mode. Now what you need to do then at that point is it's sat at a black screen because it's waiting for a command, it's waiting for a payload, it's just sat paused effectively on boot. So what you need to do, you need to point it as payload. Okay, now I have some here, and again I'll put a link to in the description to where you can find these. The one I've got here is Hecate 4.10.1, which again, depending on when you watch this, there may be a later version of this out. But effectively all you do is, once this says RCM OK down here, and it's still connected via USB, select the payload. So Hecate 5.0, which is the one I've got here, and then you can inject it there. And as soon as you do that, the switch should boot, and it should show something on screen. You'll get a menu up on the display. Now in my instance I didn't get that because somebody had knackered the LCD connector, but I could see the backlight was on. And like I said, to be honest, as soon as you see this is an RCM and you fire a payload at it, you should see something on the display. If not, then chances are either the display's faulty, or like I said, you've got an issue with the LCD connector, and it's more than likely going to be with the LCD connector that your issue is, because they're crap. So, as I say, in my instance, took a look in there were 2 drop pins, popped them back up, put the thing back together, fired it back up, re-injected the payload at it, and sure enough then my screen came up and I could see that, you know, the Hecate menu was there. Now in my instance, I don't know what the hell is going on with this, but I suspect that the RCM mode wasn't desirable. It wasn't wanted, you know, nobody knew it was in there, for heaven's sake. So I don't know if this is one that's being bought for stock. I don't know if this belongs to a customer. I don't know the history of it. I don't know who it belongs to or what the crack is with it. So basically, I just want to restore this back to an unhacked state. So all I did was, on the switch itself, go down into the Tools menu, and then from there there's an option for AutoRCM. Now obviously, if as soon as you plug power in and you're seeing it on the voltmeter, it's 15 volts and 0.47 amps, and it's just sat, then it's in AutoRCM, because as soon as the thing has power and it boots, it just boots to a black screen because it's waiting for that payload. So it's in AutoRCM. Somebody has set it to boot automatically into that state. In that AutoRCM menu, you can then go down and so it'll probably say AutoRCM is enabled, disable it and reboot. And basically, to get it into AutoRCM, from what I understand, it neatly corrupts the eMMC so that it automatically boots into that mode. Using Hecate and then you can reset the AutoRCM to disabled, actually reverts that bit, so then it boots. So what happened then is, once I'd disabled AutoRCM, went back into the main menu and then performed a normal reboot, it then came back up into the main Switch OS. And to be honest, now I can shut it down, I can power it up, and it boots straight back into the normal Nintendo Switch OS as we'd desire and as we'd want it to do. Like I say, if you buy one off eBay, it's a very good chance that this is the case. So if you want to just revert it back, then that's how you do it, and it's fairly easy to do. So this switch now is working, it's fixed and it's done. As I say, short video there, but I figured there's a tale in there worth knowing, and a cautionary one for anybody who is dealing with these things, because you can save yourself an awful lot of time, effort and hassle. I mean, whoever did this work initially could have changed more or less every component on that motherboard and it would still never have booted because it was in AutoRCM. And all that time, effort, energy, chips they needn't have swapped out, things they needn't have done to it, all because it just needed the USB cable up its backside and a payload firing at it. So yes, beware with AutoRCM, and if you are dealing with Nintendo Switches in any capacity whatsoever, please get yourself a USB voltmeter. So just for confirmation, this one here that I have is a UNI-T UT658A dual. Amazon, as I say, less than 15 quid. If you want, click my affiliated link down in the description. There's a few other bits and pieces in there that I use as well. So if you want one and you want to support the channel, just hop on there, grab one, and hopefully it'll very quickly pay for itself for you, because if it just helps you diagnose just one of these and it saves you a whole load of time, effort and hassle, it's been worth it. So yes, it's a short video, and like I said, I kind of feel like I'm cheating you a little bit, so there may be a bonus video coming out at some point. I was anticipating one over the weekend gone, to be honest, but that hasn't materialised yet because I'm waiting on something else. So maybe this weekend, I don't know. If not, I'll probably have something else out because I've got a few bits and pieces going on. I've got a project I'm starting tonight, hopefully, which I'm going to record, so possibly we might get the first instalment of that out. It's a retro project, one that's really quite interesting, quite rare, certainly in this country, so hopefully you'll find that interesting. There's not much on YouTube about them as far as fixing them and things go, so you know, should be interesting, I think. So we may get the first instalment of that out over the weekend, because like I say, I was anticipating doing a fair bit of work to this. If that Joy-Con rail doesn't work, then hey, we'll replace the connector and we'll film that as well, so we might get another video out of this. I don't know yet, we'll see. It's all up in the air at the moment, but like I said, with this one being fairly short, I'd anticipate another video possibly at some point at the back end of this week, just to kind of make up for it. So, but there's a valuable lesson, I think, in this that was worth telling and worth demonstrating. So thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video and you found it useful. If you have, and I apologise, it's been a bit of talking at you for this one today, but if it's been useful, then please hit that thumbs up button, give it a like. Of course, if you don't like it and you've not enjoyed it, then hit that thumbs down button and give it a dislike. I'm a big boy, I can take it. We've got over 100 videos now, 118 I think at the last count, videos on the channel, all of this sort of thing. So if you stumbled across us, there isn't too much Switch stuff on the channel at the moment, but I'm looking to change that. I've got a few knackered ones in a box to sort out. So there'll be some more Switch content coming your way, some Switch Lite stuff as well. As I say, I've got the little retro project that I'm going to be starting this week, so we'll get something out for that one very, very shortly as well. So, as I say, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. Please feel free to hit that subscribe button and ding that bell to be notified of when we upload new content. Generally speaking, it's Wednesdays at 6 PM UK time. As I say, this week there may be a bonus because this one's actually not been all that exciting. But they aren't all exciting, trust me. When you get into this line of work, a lot of the times things are just mundane, run-of-the-mill things. Very, very rare you come across the interesting and the exotic, but when we do, we'll make sure we document it. So thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. I've been Andy Paul, you've been brilliant as always, and I will see you, if not at the end of the week, then it'll be next Wednesday as always. So for me, it's bye-bye. Hope life treats you well, stay safe out there, and I'll see you soon. Many thanks for watching then, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, then why not check out these recommendations below. Also, please remember to comment, rate, and of course subscribe to the channel if you found this useful. We've plenty more content on there, and there's lots more to come.